it to be. And I appreciate you registering to participate with me for the next 30, 40 minutes or so, give or take. This is a live discussion, and I am happy to see that your comments are popping in now. Thank you so much, everyone. So I just want to share with you that we will be discussing how to reinvent yourself at age 50 plus today. My journey starts with the thought process that reinventing is something that I've actually done personally and also professionally several times. I'll share with you that I am divorced, a mom of two daughters, prior caregiver for both of my parents back to back. Then I became an empty nester. All the while, I was also strategically planning and executing strategies that I created to advance my career. And then subsequently choosing to leave corporate to launch my own firm. And so here we are today. I speak to you based on a belief that age is not a matter that you should be concerned with when it comes to making some changes in your life, whether it's professionally or personally. Please do not let age get into your head or listen to others who challenge you and tell you that you may be too old. Those are all myths, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Now, I acknowledge that you have also probably experienced some personal or unique challenges or opportunities that come along with being 50 or older. I also recognize that some of you are not quite yet 50, and I love the fact that you have registered and that you'll be joining us this afternoon as well. Now, some of the challenges or opportunities, depending upon how you choose to look at life, at 50 plus could include being a caregiver, empty nesting. Some of you may be pre-planning or visualizing how retirement may look for you. And then you may have experienced a loss of your parents or grandparents or a loss of a child. You may be dealing with some grief, coping with a breakup or a divorce or an unfilled career. You may feel slightly overwhelmed as you yearn to create the next chapter of your life because you're unsatisfied or bored with where you are right now, and you deeply believe in your soul that there's more for you. So let's chat about it. I want to emphasize to you that right now in your life is perfect timing. We often wait and we tell ourselves that this time isn't right, that we think that we have unlimited amounts of time and opportunity. And the reality is that we don't. Despite your age, we don't have limitless opportunities to take steps forward. So I'm urging you right now to believe that the time is right. It's just a matter of you purposing yourself to begin the process, to think about what is important to you now. And so being truthful, not everyone will embrace these opportunities because of fear or fear of making a mistake, fear of the unknown, all sorts of thoughts that we put into that creep into our mindset. And so I want to also validate you and let you know that reinvention is possible for those of you with core values that include personal and professional growth. If that is one of your core values, then fulfillment in life is probably a necessity for you. So the first thing we'll touch on is intentionality around embracing change and your ability to create new opportunities. Now, it can be difficult sometimes for some, depending upon the lens from which you choose to be in your world. Now, I prefer, as a speaker, I prefer that people who are a part of the discussions that I'm having feel welcome to chat to drop it in the chat here today since I can't audibly hear you, but I will be checking the chat from time to time. So you are more than welcome to enter comments, and then I will address them as we get closer to the end. But I wanted to quickly share with you that when my daughters were super young in elementary and middle school, when I got a divorce, and then, as I said, became the caregiver for both parents later by the time my daughters were early in college. So because all of these life-changing experiences were occurring while I was still building my career in the workers' compensation leadership industry, which we'll talk about later, I recognized that I had become physically exhausted and emotionally drained, just trying to keep up with everything as it continued to evolve. So to clear my head, I went on a trip, a girls' trip to Costa Rica after the passing of my mom. Now, I knew that I would soon be going into a new phase, becoming the caregiver for my dad, because he had been diagnosed for the second time with prostate cancer. And so I took a moment, a week or so, just to get out of the country, be with nature and some friends, to purpose myself to have some time away to clear my head as I prepared for the next journey that I would be embarking upon with my father. So during this girls' trip, I zip lined, I hiked, I got into a boat, a boat with actual animals, water animals that are known and very prevalent in Costa Rica. So that was a little new to me, to be in the water with alligators and monkeys and trees and all of the things that are natural for that part of the world. But I'll tell you, it was a great experience. It took my mind off of some heavy things that I was actually dealing with, grief being one of them. Just being in nature can change your perspective, as it should, because it's organic and it comes from the earth. And so during that time, some of my goals included just being able to process where I was trying to be, and the frame of mind that I wanted to be in, so that I could move forward from grief and maybe a little depression, if I'm totally honest. What I decided to do upon returning back to the US is to hire a trainer, a fitness trainer, someone who was assertive and even aggressive, because otherwise I would have been prone to probably negotiating some of the things that he taught me or wanted me to experience as a trainer working with me for some weight loss and strength training goals. So during this time, I decided that I really wanted to partner with him, and then also a trainer for speed drills. I registered to compete in the Senior Olympics, which was offered in my city. I had not known that previously, but happened to find out about it, and the timing was right. So I had to get my physical body in shape to compete. I'm a former sprinter, hurdler, high jumper, long jumper, all of that, but I had not competed since high school. And so here I am now in my 50s, purposing myself to once again lace up, come out of the starting block, and come in either first, second, or third, win, place, or show, because that's how we used to talk about it back in the day when I was on the track team. And I decided it's not too late to still have that frame of mind. So I'm curious, what's one thing that you've wanted to do in life, yet you still haven't? So go ahead and share that in the comments as we proceed. I'm just curious to learn about you a little bit and to see what it is that you may be sitting on that you actually know deep in your heart that it's something you want to do, and it's never too late. Please remember that. Let's talk about the health of your mindset, the health of your thoughts. If you have lived perhaps a less than exciting lifestyle in the past few years, perhaps because you've got some personal or professional goals that you're working on that kept you from actually living to the totality of your personal life. You have no audio. I am so sorry. I I what's happening. And all hear me? Is it that one person doesn't have audio? I'm hoping that everyone has audio. So could you please let me know in the comments? Meanwhile, I will continue to go forward. So I'm wondering if you could put in the chat any personal or professional visions that you have for your future that you may have been distracted from just because of life. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you. I'm happy to know that you do have audio. And yes, the replay will be available to Tracy, who mentioned that she doesn't have audio presently. So let me go on. But working with a client recently who is in her 50s, we worked together because she wanted to redefine values, her core values, to determine what she wanted to do with her life in the future. She wasn't accustomed to thinking about herself at all because she had partnered with her husband to actually formulate a business which became very successful because her focus was solely on helping with the business and then also being a partner, even the visionary for this business with her husband. A lot of things began to surface later, one of them being that she felt that her husband was actually a narcissist. She hired me because she was working her way through the process to file for a divorce, and she just wanted to make sure she hadn't missed any things that she could do differently to possibly prevent the next steps that she thought were inevitable. And so, working through those types of scenarios, we worked together to redefine her core values and then even to drill down to what's the number one of the core values. What is that one thing that you have that is a core value that maybe you've missed out or you have overlooked or put on the shelf, like sometimes we're known to do in life, particularly as women, when we are multitasking. We tend to place ourselves last in those equations often. And so I want to bring to the forefront of your mind that it's important that you not place yourself last. So not saying that we're being selfish, but I want you to have a core value around your personal worth as well, so that we don't become depleted and overwhelmed and anxious and all of those emotions that sometimes can come up. And so let's focus on being aware of our goals, but knowing what our personal core values are. So if anyone knows, just drop in the chat, what's one of your personal core values that you will ride or die with, never to forsake? For me, it's my faith. So I'll look forward to seeing what you have identified for yourself. Now, moving forward, writing down your thoughts will help you once you know what your core values are. Be in touch with your feelings. Sometimes people say feelings don't matter. I totally disagree. How you feel often is a barometer to show you areas for personal growth, personal improvement, or it explains why perhaps you have not been able to live in the totality of who you were meant to be. So we want to be in touch with our feelings. It starts with what's in your soul. What does your soul tell you? Which is a perfect segue. I hope that you can see the title of my book, When Your Soul Whispers. And so in my book, I do talk about ways to tap into your soul whispers, to amplify them so that you are then able to focus on honoring and aligning any goals with your core values. So that is an important strategy that I would want for you to hold on to and to identify if you're not certain right now. But to overcome resistance, because sometimes we're afraid to make changes, right? For fear of a misstep. I try to not use the word mistake, but a misstep is much easier to course correct should that happen. But let's purpose ourselves to think bigger and to become bolder and much more confident when you know that there's more for you in your life, whether it's career, whether it's personal or professional. Purpose yourself to be about the business of your life. Why? Because you matter. You are important. You are valuable. You're worthy. And so those are words that I want you to utilize to refresh your own memory, your own beliefs about yourself as you go forward. So it's easy to get caught up in life and forget at times. So I'm saying these words, hoping that you're taking notes as we continue forward. And yes, Carla, too much is given, much is required. Be a blessing to others as God has blessed you. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is a great model to frame your life around. Now, let's talk about overcoming resistance to change. So I want you to focus more on possibilities. What are possibilities? Focus more on what can be than what can't be. Does that make sense? Focusing more on opportunities than on things that you say could never happen for you because you're just not that person. But you are. I'm here to remind you, you truly are that person. But you have to purpose it within your soul, within your mind, to take calculated risk to make the changes that you want and not sell yourself short. We have time for that, for those types of limiting thoughts that hold you captive where you are, yet you know you're meant for more. So focus on possibilities and less on the stories that sometimes creep into your mind, telling you what you can't do. Again, that is a myth when you learn how to believe in what you can do. And so taking one step forward today, you can begin by getting still, getting quiet, and then writing down what your top 10 core values are now, right now in your life. I am here to tell you that what I've learned from working with many clients is that generally you don't know what your core values are. If I were to be in a conversation with you audibly and ask you to name your core values, I would bet that the majority of you would have to pause and really think through it, which tells me that it's not something that's an ordinary thought. But I am encouraging you to make it an ordinary thought, particularly if you've experienced challenge life. Once you navigate forward from whatever that challenge is, your core values typically will change somewhat based on what you've learned in your journey. And that's a good thing, but you need to know what they are. I am not one who subscribes to encouraging people to create New Year's goals because most of us don't accomplish them by the end of the year. And that's a different topic for a different live. But I say that because exchanging New Year's goals with redefining core values, that's a winner. So if you want to do that at the beginning of each year, that's great. But also, and most importantly, remember to tap in to redefine what yours are after experiencing any personal or professional challenges going forward. Now, there is value, knowledge, and power, and also knowing what your personal and professional transferable skills are. So, as leaders and professionals, such as you are, it is important for you to know what your transferable skills are so that you can also purpose yourself to grow in those areas as well. Now, an example of my personal journey transitioning from 22 years of corporate leadership experience at Macy's Bloomingdale's Corporate as the director of workers' comp, return to work, managed care, and vendor relations. I knew that world intimately. You can imagine, after 22 years of leading teams and people and creating processes for national return to work policies and programs, of course, I was intimate with that world. But now, I would say in 2018, fourth quarter, when I sat down to write out my renewed goals for my team and for my department for first quarter of the following year, things just didn't hit the same for me as they had all of those years. I knew deep inside that I was to utilize all the skills and knowledge gained from my career, but in a different way. So I remember December of that year, I purposed myself to have figured that out and to have resigned by the fourth quarter of 2019. And so as I began to really sit with that, what does that look like? What are my transferable skills? How can I utilize them to do what I believe I'm called to do at this time in my life? That led me to enroll in a coaching program from which I obtained 3 certifications. And as that program continued, I began to get clarity during the coursework, participating one-on-one, face-to-face with classmates. I was coached, and so I got a lot of clarity about next steps, which then led me to ask to be to receive a severance from my employer so that I could then begin to launch my own business. For me, it was a little scary, but it was the right thing to do. I have not looked back. I have not regretted it. So I challenge you. What are your transferable skills? And if you know what they are, please just type that and share in the chat. And I hope everyone feels safe and welcome to share what your transferable skills are. They could be personal and or professional, but you should know, what have you learned from your life journey thus far that you can use in ways to magnify and to honor your core values as you align them with your renewed goals as we go forward, beginning today, as you go forward today. And let me know later. If you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will respond to everyone, I promise, who reaches out. But I encourage you to touch base. If we're not connected, please connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I do truly appreciate you being here today. Now, every one of you listening to the sound of my voice has had some type of life and or career experience that you have assets that you can repurpose for new ventures. No, I'm not saying resign from your job. I'm not saying ask for a severance. That was just an example of how I found clarity and confidence to create the next phase of my life. And we're here to talk about personal and professional growth. But that is different. It's unique for each of you, and that is a good thing. So, for example, if you have handled a corporate crisis, or maybe you've navigated the complexities of caregiving, or you have been responsible for a child that has special needs, trust me, you have learned to think quickly on your feet and stay calm under pressure so that you could yield a desired outcome. Guess what? That's called strategic thinking. It's also known as project management. So there's a transferable skill. If you haven't thought of it in that way before, that's a great example for you. Now, being adaptable and valuing lifelong learning can also be a way to pivot in life and professionally in a career. To write a book, start a business, learn to play a new instrument, or pick up learning from or skills, knowledge that you previously had when you were younger that you've not utilized because life got in the way. So how about picking up that instrument again, or whatever that hobby was, or whatever that thing is that now aligns with your passion and your core values as they are now at this time in your life. I want to encourage you that it is never too late to start again or to start anew. Now, as we're beginning to wind down, because I do want to to acknowledge your time here and that I recognize you have other responsibilities as well. I hope that you've taken notes as have been here today so that you can reflect later and think of ways in which you can use this insight to visualize how you want your future to look and feel. Now, I am inviting you to send me a message privately if you would like to let me know what you've gained from today's discussion. And if you know now, then go ahead and add that to the chat. Now, here are some ways that you can connect with me as well. My book, again, is titled When Your Soul Whispers, Strategies for Leaders to Redefine Values and to Move Forward After Life's Transitions, is available on my website, www.leishathompson.com. So for more insight and strategies, tools that you can begin to use now, you may want to purchase my book. There's space left in the book intentionally for you to take notes and to process and write down new insights gleaned at the end of each chapter. So you can begin that process today. And also, I would invite you, I want to open up the floor. If you have questions, any questions, I am here to take a look and answer questions in the remaining time. And so if you have any challenges, questions, or you're seeking advice, then here's the time for you to jot that down or drop that in the chat. And I will be sure to take a look. Let's see. Someone has indicated that she has 30 years of experience in community outreach and engagement. She is now combining her data science skills to enhance her outreach and engagement. She's utilizing professional skills gained in her 30-year career, which is amazing and great, to actually provide this community outreach. Sometimes tasks that you are commended. A lot of people haven't been able to connect personal with professional, or some of us don't recognize that we have all of these skills and all of this knowledge. And that's what we're talking about today. So be aware that you have not come this far in life for naught. So you are equipped. You have much more insight than you probably are giving yourself credit for. I appreciate each of you and those who will see this on the replay later. Again, I am available for anyone if you would like to reach out just to chat with me to gain additional insight. We are now at 12:30, and I want to be true to the promise that this would just be 30 minutes of your day. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. I look forward to chatting with each of you in the future, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon or morning, depending on your time zone. Thanks again. Leisha Thompson signing out at this moment.